You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by Focus-Biz.com. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. You ever have trouble getting motivated? I know I do. How about you, Chris?
A little bit here and there,
We,
but yes, I do.
we struggle differently with motivation, that's for sure. But finding the motivation is definitely something that I know a lot of people struggle with, whether you own a business or work for somebody else. Being and staying motivated are very difficult things sometimes, and we're just going to chat a little bit about that. Stay tuned. So, motivation.
Motivation. I feel like self-motivation is a little more difficult for an entrepreneur, any business owner, as opposed to someone who might work for someone else. So when you work for someone else, you always have a boss or leader telling you what to do, giving you a game plan. This is what you need to work on. This is the priority. Whereas when you're a business owner, it's all on you. Now you are your own leader and your own boss, and you have to dictate what actions you're supposed to take next. Not everyone is put into that position and has comfortability giving themselves self-direction. And it's a challenge to try to self-motivate yourself.
Yep, for sure. Self-motivating is difficult. Self-motivating is difficult. It can be difficult. I know that I struggle with it a lot, especially
hmm
Monday mornings.
Yeah, it's a
But
challenge.
we were talking a little bit about intrinsic motivation and what that means, and what was the other one? Extrinsic or something.
hmm
So intrinsic motivation is doing something because you like doing it, rather than there being a separable consequence. D&D.
Okay.
I'm motivated to write and run D&D games because I find joy in it, not because
hmm
I'm getting paid to do it or because there is some sort of consequence that I'm excited to get at the end of it.
hmm
But my job, that is more of an extrinsic motivation where, I'm doing this because I'm looking for the separable consequence that will come after doing the activities there.
Okay. One is more self-fulfilling. That's intrinsic. The extrinsic is more there's goals out there that you need to reach. It may not fulfill your purpose, but you know they need to get done.
Right, exactly. Like introvert, you're inside, extrovert, you're outside. The intrinsic motivation is doing something because you want to on the inside.
Okay.
Extrinsic is because you're looking for an outside re- consequence or result from the thing that you're
hmm
doing. And
Nice.
unfortunately, I feel like to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, you need to have a solid balance of both, right?
Absolutely. Something that gives you purpose, but also has some clear defined goals at the end for you to reach.
Yeah. And having goals can certainly help with motivation. That can determine what you're going to work on. I mean, it can kind of, having a goal can help outline where your motivation sort of needs to be directed at.
Yes, right along those lines, I was going to say the goal is the destination, and that can provide you the pathway to reach that goal.
Right, right, right. Absolutely.
I think motivation for me, self motivating, I feel like I've been more of a self motivator because of my experience already owning my own business for so long. And because of that, that helped me to take online courses, and that relies heavily on self motivation. A lot of people need that in person sort of schooling. Me personally, I was already driven enough and self motivated enough to handle online classes and see that goal at the end and realize, okay, this sort of journey along the way is going to help me reach that goal. So motivating myself came a little bit easier for me. And I feel like a lot of people struggle, but I think at all times we can struggle as well.
Yeah, for many different reasons too. There can be a struggle to be motivated, to find your motivation, or it's not even that. It's to keep your motivation. Some people
Oh,
can
yes.
start motivated, like you can have a great idea. Your intention is to follow through with this. You set a goal, you want to reach your goal, but I mean, personally, one of my things that I struggle with the most is just keeping a consistent level of motivation
Yeah.
to help reach my goals and the timeline that I'm trying to reach them in. And that's where I
Right, because
struggle the
motivation
most.
can come in spurts.
Yeah.
It's highs and lows. You get really motivated after maybe a big win, or you see someone else doing something great, you're like, I want to do that. So that motivates you. But you might hit an obstacle or a road bump along the way, and that just deflates your motivation. So it's important to try to keep that consistent level of motivation. I think one important factor is surrounding yourself with supportive people and other entrepreneurs, people who are in a similar industry or business. Just seeing their wins, their struggles helps you belong, feel like you have a sense of community, and now you're able to feel like you're not alone. And that can be motivating in itself.
That's for true. That's for true. Absolutely. I mean, you and I, when we get together, we talk about a lot of things. I mean, we spend hours and hours of our lives together just chatting about stuff. But over the last couple of years, specifically, since your business has gotten a little bit more full time and a little bit more um, beneficial as far as
Hmm.
the amount of energy and effort you put into it, and then me starting my business, it just kind of gave us another thing that sort of we connect and overlap on,
Right.
and that has been a personal, like, guarantee. That has been a personal fuel to my motivation, is seeing, not only seeing how well you're doing with your business, but also, like, I definitely feel like the motivation and energy is reciprocated from your end when I do have the small wins that I do have. It just is like, oh shit, okay, I have a small win. Imagine what I can do if I just amped that up and lit the fire under my ass a little bit more. Then what, kind of thing. And it'd be really hard to
Right.
do if I didn't have somebody to share my struggles and my wins with and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen such an improvement in your motivation and your positivity after having more and more wins back to back. I'm just seeing now the ball is rolling downhill. Now I'm seeing that you're just operating at a much higher frequency now because of that success and you're celebrating that achievement.
Yeah, yeah, I try to. I try to, but I have noticed I often, when I do have those wins, those back to back consecutive sort of victories, my actions are proving to be profitable and stuff. I find myself saying, "Oh shit, look what I did! I can take a day off now." And that has been a mindset that I have been actively trying to be like, no, 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 shut up. No, if you did it, if you're able to do it now, keep doing it. And like the two wins you had this week, you're gonna have 3 or 4 wins next week, and it's just gonna keep compiling, as long as I don't stop. And that itself has
Hmm.
become a motivator for me. Just trying to convince myself, like, hey man, your efforts are proving to work now. You're seeing the fruits of your labor, and like, if you plant an orchard of apples and you go and you pick one tree, you're like, oh cool, you don't leave the rest of the trees there to rot. You got to pick them all in order to get the best harvest there. And that's kind of where my head has been leaning towards, thankfully. Just kind of growing and maturing, I suppose, as everything goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really smart about what you said, that it's a challenge after you get that win. You feel like, all right, I won. I reached a goal. This is a goal that I reached and now I can take it easy. And that can be self-deprecating as well. You're kind of breaking yourself down and it doesn't motivate you when I'm having a really bad month. That motivates me more. Even though it can be a little bit negative, it can bring you down a little bit. When I have a great month, that motivates me even more. I don't know, motivation is different. It comes at different levels a little bit. It can be hard to wrangle that in.
Absolutely. And it comes from different places, and some motivation lasts longer than others. It's kind of like an alcoholic beverage. Some are stronger than others, some taste better than others. Sometimes you drink just to get drunk, which is just you doing what you got to do in order just to fucking see the result at the end of it.
Right.
um and then sometimes your motivation will come in a really inspiring way, like you're at a conference and everybody there it has the same energy and the same intentions. Everybody wants to grow themselves professionally, personally. Those types of things, when I go to those are really, really high motivators for me, because I connect with other people. I look at them and I say, oh shit, you know what, it's kind of hard sometimes, but I got to pull down that wall and realize that, hey, you might be 10 years older than me, but in your head you have the same doubts and the same lack of motivations that I might
Hmm.
have, especially if you got a gut, because then I can see like, yeah, okay, we're about the same. Neither of us want to go work out. So having that mindset of, I might not be motivated, but I look at them, they might not be motivated too. But then I go on Goosehead and I see, holy shit, these guys are pulling in 40 grand a month for their agency. That's a motivation right there for me, seeing other people's success and their intentions and the rewards of their actions and efforts.
Right, because you can see what is possible.
Right, what's possible. I might not be able to do all of that right now, but it's proven that it's not an impossible result of trying hard, essentially.
Hmm. No, absolutely. I remember when my biggest motivator was as soon as I got two clients to sign up for services in a month, I was just ecstatic. I was like, watch out, Bill Gates, here I come, Warren Buffett, move on over. And to me, looking back, you know, that's only 24 events in a calendar year. And now
Right.
that seems like small potatoes to me. Now I'm averaging 10, and that is where I need to be.
Right.
That is my new goal, just kind of level up a little bit and take it to that next level. But it is motivating.
Yeah, man. I mean, my policy count has it was pathetic, dude. I started this year with like 43.
Hmm.
Started this year with 43 on my books. I'm
Still
at
pretty great.
I'm at 81 now.
Wow.
Yeah, just in the last 4 months.
So you're saying you doubled your sales? What, from 2 to 4? Yep.
I mean, I have
No, that
doubled it, but in a third of the time.
yeah, because that would be accounting for about what is that, 7 to 12 months? Because I know, didn't you start in April? So technically,
About a year
it's not a
now,
full
yeah.
year, but wow, the growth that it took in 8 months, you've now had in 3.5, 4 months, and that's just phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. It's and seeing that grow every week, that itself is a motivator as well, because I'm so excited for that policies in force to hit a 3-digit number. And it will. I'm so excited for that to happen. And when it does, I can get my second Dundee award. Uh,
Nice. White as shoes,
yeah, yeah, white as shoes.
tan as khakis,
That's
comfy as cardigan.
that's actually pretty funny. The tennis
I'll keep
khakis.
going. Tan as khakis. I know you love your whole white guy insurance guy persona. You're like, yeah, I'm just a guy with a cardigan and khakis. How you doing?
My khaki game is strong, man, no doubt.
It's like that any cartoon episode like SpongeBob, he's got 12 pairs of the same exact outfit, and here you are with your khakis just lined up.
Yep, khakis with a gray top. That's pretty. I have more than those than I feel like I should.
The Adam Morris signature line, now at Kohl's.
Yeah. Just we'll call that line mediocre. Midwestern mediocre.
The wins, you got to celebrate your wins because going from 40 to 80, that's a huge deal. But then once you reach that 3-digit policies in force, celebrate that win, but let that motivate you to now go to 200, double that again.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of been my thing. It's just like when I have a win, and there's another person on a webinar that I was on. He's pretty successful in his state, and he was like, honestly, I love celebrating my wins. I love it, but at the same time, I tell myself in the back of my head, I get 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes to celebrate my win, and after that, I have to go back to get another win, because then I could celebrate that for 5 minutes. And he goes, and after a certain amount of time, I'm spending an hour celebrating because I just had 6 wins in a row. And he's just, he's just kind of going, or whatever. He's just kind of going as far as that goes. And he's like, and after a while, you get like, oh shit, I can take a day off because I've earned that time, that celebration time. And that's
Hmm.
his motivation. His motivation is to earn that celebration time where he can take a Friday off because Monday through Thursday he's had enough wins so that his 5 minutes per victory can equate to a day kind of thing. And that I
Nice.
thought that was pretty clever the way he did it. What 5 minutes is just what he said specifically, but having giving yourself a time limit of celebrating your win, so that
Hmm.
you can like accrue them essentially throughout a week, throughout a month, and then
Hmm.
kind of like if you were to work for somebody else, you get sick time, personal time, whatever. You get to tell no job ever gives you celebration time, and that's what you can give yourself. You can give yourself time to celebrate your wins, but you have to, I mean, that can be a motivation, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but not to celebrate too hard because you're going to take away from more progress in the future. So if you kind of lump all your celebration time together, you could have a more productive week simply by, hey, let's celebrate a little bit later and try to
Hmm.
get that big win. I feel like he's kind of taking these small goals and rolling them into a big goal, as opposed to vice versa. Like obviously everyone wants to be successful and rich. That's the big end goal. But it seems that if you break them down a little bit smaller, you can celebrate some of those wins and realize, okay, I'm making progress. I am on the right track here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like my thing is five cold calls a day, 5 calls to people that I have never talked to a day. Now I have other
Mhm.
calls, I got follow-ups and shit that I got to do from the previous week and whatnot. But if I do 5 new a day, that's 25 new a week, 100 new people a month I'm reaching out to basically. And because sales and specifically insurance and stuff like that, it's a numbers game. The more activity you do, the more you're going to get back at you. So that has been a motivator for me, because it's just like, oh, 5 calls, that's not a big deal at all. If I can't do 5 calls in a 7 to 8 hour period, well,
What would you say you do here?
yeah, right. It's just like, you should be able to. If you're not, fucking Amazon's hiring, go away kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, kind of taking just kind of shows you the power and the law of numbers there. That breaking that down, okay, 5 calls per day. That's 1 call every 2 hours. That's totally doable.
Right. Absolutely. And I try to do them all around the same time. I try to do all my 5 calls before noon, my new calls,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll try and do my follow ups in the afternoon. That way, if I leave a message for somebody and I call on a Monday and I call them next week Monday, I called them at 10 a.m., but my next call will be at 2 p.m. So,
Nice.
try and better chance maybe of reaching them, sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just been a little easier for me to organize that and have my follow-ups going. And but it can be hard. It can be hard to stay motivated when I get into the office and I'm just like, ugh, no one else is here. I'm alone.
Mm-hmm.
No one's checking up on me. No one's going to know if I did my calls or not. So really,
Right.
what incentive is there, I guess, other than the potential, the maybe there will be a money making opportunity to it. Most of the time, they're not money making opportunities. They're just marketing myself, and that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to find the motivation for me than it is to stay motivated,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my personal struggle. It's difficult to know what I have to do. I guess it kind of comes down more of like self discipline.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, discipline was not really something that was ever instilled in me as a
Mm-hmm.
young person. And then growing older, it doesn't help with a lot of things not having that self discipline. It just doesn't. And there were times where I'd be like, well, I'm not a very highly self disciplined person, so I have no business running a business. I have no business doing anything on my own. I should be working for somebody who is disciplined and can do that. You know what I mean?
You're just hoping to grab their discipline by proxy.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But maybe maybe it's been discipline, maybe it's just been my goal is more clear.
Hmm.
My goals that I set are more clear, um, and they're
And I
broken
think,
down.
yeah, I also think that the specific actions that you take are a little more well defined and they have a purpose now. And you've been seeing the results from that now. So when you think about trying to cold call X amount of people per month or whatever, you see that it's working now. You see that it has a positive effect. Whereas when you're just getting started, you just feel like you're going through the motions, and that can be very demotivating, if that's a word.
Yeah, demotivation is definitely a thing, and that's exactly true. I mean, especially if you start out doing your 100 calls a month, if not more, or whatever, and you're not seeing it come back at you right away. In insurance,
Mhm.
the rule, a rule, not the rule, a rule is your marketing today helps you in 3 months from now.
Mhm.
And that kind of sounds like it, like that sucks. Like, what?
Yeah, I want it now.
Yeah, I gotta wait. Like, I need money now. I can't wait 3 months for this shit to come back at me. But that's just kind of what it is. Like, it's a 3 month rule, 90-day rule. The activity
Mhm.
you do now will come back to you in 90 days. And I thought that was bullshit. But in October of last year, that's when I kind of started realizing that, hey man, 6 months into this adventure, I'm not doing very well. I either have to do it better or I got to give up and do something else because I can't keep throwing money away. I can't keep not making an income.
Mhm.
It's unviable. I got a mortgage, I got a family and shit like that. So like I need to be bringing in money. But in October is kind of when I started. October is when I reassessed my goals and realized that my goals weren't very well defined. My goal was just to sell a lot of insurance and get rich off of it. That's a shitty fucking goal. there was there is no steps to get there.
You're like, it's not specific, it's not measurable.
It's
Is it
not
attainable?
measurable. That's the biggest thing. It's not measurable. Sometimes
Mhm.
measuring your activity in itself can be a motivating factor.
Mhm.
This setting a goal with specific uh not even timeline things, but just specific activities that you have to do to hit a certain level. Because my pyramid thing, that my pyramid cap is to be a wealthy, successful goosehead insurance agent. That's my end goal. But
Mhm.
I have to first build all those blocks that raise it up into a pyramid. And that's how I break down my goals and stuff like that. That's my 100 calls a month, my certain amount of policies per week, which turns into a certain amount of policies per month. And that has become a motivating factor for me. Just having more clear goals,
Mhm.
it gives me something to reach towards, and it kind of helps with that lack of self-discipline kind of thing, because I'm just like, okay, yes, it's hard because this it's not an intrinsic thing. It's not a I'm doing this for the fun of it kind of thing. It's more or less like I'm doing this because this is what I need to do to reach that end goal there.
Mhm. So in October, when you reassessed everything and you saw how much money you've invested and it's not been returning to you, and you reassess that, and what's the alternative? The alternative is going to work for someone else, right? And just saying, you know what, this isn't working for me. Let me do something that I know works or has worked,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I'm just not cut out for whatever it is I'm doing. Did you then realize, okay, I do not want to work for someone else and I have to make this work? Was that your thought process there?
It really was. It was, and it really isn't even about working for somebody else. Like, fine, if that's what needs to happen to pay my bills and put food on the table for my family, fine, because they're my biggest motivation, regardless. But
Mhm.
knowing that if I get my shit straight and if I do this right, this is one of those jobs where, you know, after a certain amount of time, I don't even have to work anymore, but it's still consistently bringing me income.
Yes. There's a lot of work to put in that first run of business where you're really building that foundation. But as you get further up to the top of that pyramid that you were describing, there's less to build and it becomes easier, and you're going to have recurring revenue, you're going to have referrals coming in, and it's just going to be self-sustaining. You no longer have to make those 5 calls per day.
Right,
You
because
still
I'm
can.
I'm getting 5 calls per day, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's definitely where the next thing. I mean, I was looking, I have a list now of renewals that are coming in from shit that I wrote last year,
That's
and
amazing.
I'm super excited looking at it. I'm like, "Wow," and I'm looking at some of the premiums, they went up a little bit, and some of the premiums stayed the same, and we quoted a lady, I'm gonna save her $400 this next year in her auto policy, and I'm just like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and I'm just super excited to do that. And next year, I'm gonna have more of a list than this, and that is becoming another motivator for me as well. Just seeing the fruits of the labor, and just knowing that if I put a little bit more labor into it, it will come back to me in a positive way that is going to be sustainable, recurring,
Hmm.
and something that I'm going to be able to grow into an actual source of legitimate income.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It is. It is. I want my $100,000 year. That is my top of the pyramid. My $100,000 year. And once I have that, I will have decided that, wow, this is my goal. This is where I want it to be. And then everything
Hmm.
else from there won't seem like a goal. It won't seem like I need to be motivated. They'll just be habits by then.
Yep. I think that's perfect. I think just to wrap up, maybe we should go through some of these most common bad habits that hurt our motivation,
Yeah. Yeah. Number 1, being Adam Morris. It's tough.
aka procrastinating. Procrastination. It can be a big obstacle in your journey on self-motivation because you always want to put something off or you think that doesn't need to get done right away. But honestly, you just have to complete it. Get it done so that it's off your plate and you're going to feel fulfilled that you got something accomplished. And now that's something you won't take up your time the following day. You're able to put that effort into more money making activities. So try to limit the procrastination, but within that, don't work too much and don't work too little because I think sometimes people feel like they have to put in 60 to 70 hours a week to feel like they've been productive when that's not the case. Some people can do what you can do in 70 hours within 30 hours. And I think that's a matter of your productivity.
Right, and organizing the steps in your goals, and just having a little bit more of a clearer outline of where you want to end up. How do I end up there? First, I have to do this, but in order to do that, I got to do this. In order to do that, I got to do this. And procrastination is just making that slope all the more slippery.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. With that being said, eating badly is something that can hurt your self motivation.
Eating healthy, exercising, it's disciplining your image. You got to learn to discipline your image. You think I got where I am today because I dress like Peter Pan here? I mean, take a look at what I'm wearing. Do you think anybody wants a roundhouse kick to the face when I'm wearing these bad boys? Forget about it. You think anybody thinks I'm a failure because I go home to Starlight at night? Forget about it.
And all the other things on this list here just seem like results of bad habits, not so much these are hurting your motivation, like being disorganized. What was the other one? Losing things, that's more of a result. But complaining, you can help with that. Be a little more positive, not focusing on that negative. So the more you're complaining, you're just taking up time where you can actually be putting in effort towards reaching your goals. Lying, that's just not good for anyone, not great for your image,
Right.
not good for your brand. And when you're lying to others, you're also lying to yourself and you're not holding yourself accountable. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean accountability. That's one of the biggest motivators out there. Really, it's just
Hmm.
when you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, when you're the only person you have to answer to, accountability can be very difficult to find.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. But
So
man, we just gotta stick with it. Just keep going. Celebrate those wins. Surround yourself with good people who have the same motivation as you. You can build off of each other. Just go out there and get it.
yeah,
So if you're
yeah.
sitting down right now, stand up, go do something. If there's a goal you've been waiting to reach, what are you waiting for? Just go do it.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all I got then for today. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.